Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Quiet Please, the golf podcast. I am Alan Depew, your host for the next 45 minutes or so. And as always, we really appreciate you listening to us. If you are listening on the podcast, please reach over there, hit a 5, hit a subscribe, give us a little thumbs up. If you're watching on YouTube, please follow the our new YouTube channel. Any comments, any things, any suggestions you could throw at us, we're all ears. Every week that we try to bring us a panel of experts and a few guests intermingled. As always, my experts are to my bottom right, Mr. Andy Hydorn, Mr. Q Mixer himself, golfing god.
You.
And you,
I'm not a golfing god, but
okay, well, in my book, you are.
well, thank you.
You're welcome. To my bottom left, hailing from Kentucky, Boston Bob Baldessari.
Cheers. Always cheers from the bourbon
Cheers.
country.
Hey, this week, truly, cheers. Okay. Okay.
Didn't look like
Good.
brown water, but
Good.
we'll let you go.
Well, just a splash of cran to go with to offset the Tito's. Okay. Also joining us, he's got to fix his camera because you can't even see him. He's when you do see him, he's the prettiest podcaster in golf. Christian Nazamus, hailing from St. Louis at the moment.
I'm here, loud
There.
and proud. Andy is the go to golf, by the way.
He
Just
is.
saying.
He is.
Well, I can tell you this: if Alan Depew was putting for me, I would be holding the trophy for the Texas State Senior.
Oh, I wasn't even gonna go there.
Yeah.
We had the President's Cup, but your quest for the Texas Senior is far more important to the listeners out there. Would you have been
Far more
wearing the purple
important.
jacket?
Far more important.
Ask the question, Christian. Why am I wearing the purple jacket?
Why are you wearing the purple jacket?
Thank you, Christian, because I am actually in Hilton Head at Golf Inc. Strategy Summit, where industry leaders get together, talk about concepts, talk about things. A lot of conversation. BB, you're going to like this one, especially. A lot of conversations about AI. And you are Mr. Reimagine Golf, and they are you ought to hear some of the concepts that we're being taught around. I mean, AI and how you can utilize it. They have the little as a demo. They had the little artificial intelligence mower.
Yep.
Out there, as well as the range unit. I mean, just Andy, some cool shit.
Yeah, I was there a couple of years ago with you.
You were. You were indeed. I'm not speaking this week, though.
Yeah. No.
I think they banned me after the last go round.
I think Alan gets best dressed for this evening, but we're curious about the color coordinating, the shoes and the belts. We want to make sure you're representing Quiet Please sartorials.
You don't really want me to go there again, Bobby, do you?
I definitely don't. I'm good.
Andy, before we hit record, they asked me to show off my belt, and I felt a little uncomfortable.
It's too close for comfort.
I felt uneasy.
I think that's fair to feel uneasy about that.
They cheapened me, Andy.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, Texas Senior. What the hell? You were leading. You sent us a screenshot. Said you shot 70 in blustery conditions, and what happened?
Yeah, that was just the first round. There were 36 more holes to go. And to be honest with you, I had zero going for me on the greens, like zero. And I hit it so well. It was such a good opportunity for me to have a finish where I'm holding the trophy, but and I'm usually a good putter. Not in your league, Alan, but I'm a good putter usually.
You're
and
a far better putter than I am.
Hell
we
no.
need to build Krusty Lab Golf house visit for you, house call.
Truth be known, hey, everyone that's listening, they like to talk about my lack of shoulder turn, and yes, it is the big
running joke.
Thank you. But the putting thing, it all goes back to the Little Linksters golf outing. Shameless plug for the Little Linksters golf outing, littlelinksters.com. You need to check it out. Brendan Elliott, our other co-host, they're having a golf outing down in Orlando coming up here in November. Great thing to benefit. You really need to check it out. And what Andy is referring to, Christian, is I made a couple of putts a few years back in the golf outing.
Well, let me correct you there. I don't think you missed a putt in the golf outing.
Well, I'm trying to help you, Andy, because we
Okay.
wouldn't know if you were a good putter or a bad putter because we never got to you.
That is 100% true.
I can
100%.
confirm Alan has one hell of a flat stick. I have played many tournaments with Alan, and he can't do much until the green. But when the green comes around, those balls are going in the hole with ease.
All right,
Center cup every time.
So Andy, what happened?
No, I'm telling you, I had zero feel on the greens, and that rarely ever happens to me. It was just a really unfortunate week for that to happen because I had everything going for me from tee to green.
So Andy, I have a question for you for
Yeah.
people that are out there that listen to the show. When you're having a solid ball striking day over the course of 3 days, but you're not getting the ball to go in the hole, obviously with the putter. What is your mental state during the round? Are you still staying positive? Are you trying to just like pump yourself up, or what are some like key like words that you could tell us and our listening audience kind of like what to do in that situation?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's two things at play, right? The first thing is I'm feeling good and positive about my game. So like I'm relaxed. I'm not getting too worked up about the fact that I'm struggling on the greens. That's number one. Number two is I really do, when I'm standing over a putt, when I'm in one of those little bad stretches, there's nothing good going through my head over the putt. And, there's not a smooth stroke that was made in 54 holes. I got a couple to go in
Mhm.
from 5 feet and 7 feet, but none of them felt good. Like it was, and I missed a couple of real short ones. It was
Bobby, I
bad.
know this is going to come as a shock, but this was not even a segment we were going to talk about tonight. So, but we're going to explore it. So lately, I've been disenchanted with my putter. However, when I get in those stretch, to Andy's point, I actually feel like if I toe up, if I put the toe down more on and change the angle of the putter, it frees me up to make a better stroke until I work myself through whatever touch feel issues. I mean, what say you, oh teacher of the game?
But I would tell people if you go through those times that it's a confidence thing, you're the same person, you're physically making the putt. I tell people a couple of things. One is try to adjust a little bit. That being change up your setup a little bit, change up your physical posture a little bit, just something different, something fresh, something that if you're trying to do the same exact thing every single time, then you're just hitting your head against the wall a little bit. So try something different, try something fresh. Just for an example, if you feel like you want to putt like Tiger Woods and it's just not going in, feel like you're going to putt like Jack Nicklaus, greatest putter ever. Maybe get crouch, maybe get open, maybe do something different. Go left hand low instead of traditional. Maybe just something. There's no skeleton, no Halloween's coming up, so there's no skeletons in the closet. Something a little bit different. You can always check your fundamentals, check your alignment. Sometimes you get tentative too. The balls. I don't know, Andy. You're such a really good player. Was the ball getting to the hole? Sometimes you get a little tentative. Sometimes you just got to work through it and just see one go 3 feet by.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right. Like, and we have, fortunately, unfortunately, we have the next biggest tournament for me this in the year is the Houston City Championship, which is this coming weekend. So I've been every night this week out there trying to do exactly what you said, trying to come up with something different in my setup that can just free me up and take my mind away from the anxiety of whether I'm going to make a good stroke or not. And I think you're 100% right. That's the only thing that really gets people out of a funk.
You
Like
do you
to,
do you
to
putt
your
with a
point,
line on your
Alan,
ball?
I don't.
I didn't do that for the longest time because I always felt like lacking of confidence, specifically on short putts, right? this sounds kind of corny, but I used to in college, when we had practices and stuff like that, I literally used to either play a song and listen to like memorize a
Yeah.
song that I love, play the lyrics, sing the song while I'm putting because it takes
Yeah.
my mind off of that, right? Or my coach or my teammates would come over to me at that time and like we would just have a conversation. It just takes your mind off of it completely. So those are two examples that sound kind of corny, and I know you can't really do that. I mean, you could during a round, but you know,
No,
that's one thing
those
that
are
really helped me.
those are
Hey, Christian,
I sing Guns N' Roses, just a little patience. So come on, it happens.
But where I was going,
hey,
yeah.
Christian, is the song in your head the song "Sisters" from the movie White Christmas?
Absolutely. No, honestly, it was September. That
Oh
was
yeah,
the song that I loved growing up
Earth,
because
Wind, and
I was
Fire.
born in September, and yeah, Earth, Wind, and Fire. So that was like my song, and it was just funny because that was something that it's so corny, and like I started putting a line back on my golf ball because it keeps me more down and follow through on the putt more than lifting up on it as well. So I was just curious, Andy, if you have a
No,
line or not.
listen, a year or so ago, we had Steven Yellen on the show, and Steven's runs that fluid motion factor mental
Yep.
program. And what you're talking about is 100% what he believes in. Because what you're doing is you're taking your subconscious out of the process and
Yep.
letting your
No,
you know
you're taking your conscious out of the process and letting your
Your,
sub.
yeah, sorry. I meant to
Yes.
say that.
Right.
Yeah, your prefrontal cortex, which is your conscious mind, out of it and letting your subconscious, which knows how to make a good putting stroke, do its
Yep.
job.
All right. So emoji, right? So I many years ago when I played collegiate golf, there was still, by the way, there were cassette tapes. They were not like deep, all right? But I actually was fascinated with hypnosis. And
Yeah.
actually, the entire thing about hypnosis was you went through it's hypnosis is nothing but a incredible state of relaxation. So I would listen to this tape every single night, and all it would talk with the few times. I mean, after like 5 minutes, I was out. But when I did actually wake up and hear what the words were being said, who knows? It may tell me I need to, you know, quack like a duck for all I know. But I mean, all it talked about is make a quarter swing to let the conscious mind move aside so the subconscious mind take over. I can still recant those words
Yeah.
in my mind.
I think everybody agrees that that's the holy grail, right? To get your subconscious, steering the ship. Um, the trouble or the problem is to be able to figure out how to access that. And I think that's where the Stephen Yellens of the world and
Right.
the hypnotists of the world and those people are all trying to do the same thing. They're just trying to get you to access that subconscious mind that knows how to, as Stephen Yellen says, it's you have money in the bank. You just need to access that money and you know how to do it.
And yes, that is the $1,000, $1 million question, right? And by the way, I stole your line earlier on a LinkedIn post this week, Andy, which is we're all one swing away from being great and one swing away from being ready to walk off the
Disaster.
boat. Well, yeah. So, Bobby, how do you find that? How does our listener out there try to repeat and find that mental edge?
I think there's some different ways. Obviously, you can check out Stephen Yellen and the fluid motion factor and in the Bob Rotellas, and you can try those different places and try to see what fits you. What it's sort of like swings. It's everybody's a little bit different. I think a lot of people, the anyways, the expectations of a good shot, a good putt. I'm 4 feet. I'm supposed to make it because I'm playing in a tournament because I see tour players make it. Well, you've seen the best of the best with perfect conditions on a Saturday, Sunday making it. Thursday, Friday, Wednesday, they're not all making it. So, I mean, there's just, everybody's a little bit different. I don't know. It's a good question. It's like you got to find what makes sense for you, but sometimes it's just, relaxing and sort of Walter Hagen, and smell the roses.
This is true. Or another option could be Andy. Nothing. I threw you a great segue. Another option could be a Q.
Mixer, maybe.
There you
Mixer.
go.
A nice, refreshing cocktail to take your mind off of the anxiety of a 3-foot putt.
There you go.
Perhaps that, right?
And
Nothing.
what kind of mixers do you have for the Q mixer?
Well, first of all, people need to understand that there is such a thing as a premium mixer. And premium mixers are better for you. They're better ingredients. They're lower sugar content. They make better drinks. And Q Mixers happens to be one of those premium mixer brands. So whether it's ginger beers or ginger ales or tonic waters, club sodas, margarita mixes, you name it. It's all in there to help people relax a little bit and mix themselves the nicest drinks they want in the comfort of their own home.
And my personal favorite, Christian, is the Moscow Mule. Big fan.
It's a good one. Try the grapefruit though.
It's okay. Big fan. Big fan. You know who else is maybe not a big fan of American antics? Tom Kim. Or is it overblown? What say you, Christian?
So I didn't watch as much of the President's Cup.
All
as
right,
I
then
would
never
have
mind. What
liked.
say you, Bobby?
But I saw a lot of what the antics were. Are you talking when they walked off to the next tee box while Scotty was still putting? Or are you talking about something different that Tom
I'm
has
talking
done,
about
or
Tom
did?
Kim. Tom Kim saying that the U.S. team was not being, respectful, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I mean, let me give you the overall synopsis. I actually was engaged on this President's Cup more than anyone probably I've ever been.
Really?
I was.
And why? Why was that?
Because I think it was competitive there for a little while.
I agree with that.
I think the international team had a chance to get back, and I also think that we all four of us, all five counting BE on here, we're all have disdain about waste management being over the top, and even we dread. I know I do. I dread what Bethpage is going to be like. However, I do believe that the fans in Montreal were energized, and that gave it a good vibe this year. Bobby, what do you think?
Well, it's interesting. This was the least amount of President's Cup I watched. I've been getting tired of it. I think Tom Kim, whatever he did, whatever they were trying to do to inject some life was a good thing. Maybe got misplaced a little bit, but I just got to tell you, disregarding like the Ryder Cup versus President's Cup and why the President's Cup started. I had this conversation with my wife tonight. Why did the President's Cup started? Why did Tim Fincham get it going? On and on and on. And they're trying to manufacture something. I don't know. I was just not getting into it whatsoever. But I was starting to look into it a little bit because I started hearing about Tom Kim and some of this, if the sparks are flying and, Mike Weir, did he make some good captain's choices? Maybe not on the pairings, we got not so good there, eh?
I think he made a couple of bad picks. Just on.
Hey.
I think I hate to say it, but I would have put a few more Canadians on there.
Yeah, I mean they're going to get
at least one more Canadian on there to get the hometown thing going. And
exactly.
and honestly, to your point, as a great, knowledgeable person of the game once told me, it's all about events and venues.
Great venue. And I think the biggest thing coming out of the President's Cup is why are there so many left-handed golfers in Canada?
Jesus Christ.
Let's dive into that big time.
Somebody needs to solve that riddle.
I'll tell you what, you put them in the off wing, their one-timer must have been hell as a in youth hockey.
Lots of one-timers. I watched less President's Cup this time around, mostly because I was traveling. I was away from home for 14 days, which was a long time.
It's too
but but it just, yeah, it is 2 weeks. But it just seems like they have a long way to go for that to be a compelling event. Um, it just seems to be struggling to gather people's attention. And maybe it's because the US has won what, 10 in a row?
At least
I think they've won all but one, right?
all but
Yeah.
one.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think it's been 10 in a row, which I think is part of the problem, maybe. But you can't really, like they did with the Ryder Cup, you can't expand the world to maybe bring on some players from Mars and Venus to,
Space Jam.
yeah, yeah.
I don't know
But
if anybody reads a Jeff Shackelford. We want to get Jeff on the show at some point, but he had a pretty interesting take the last couple of weeks, writing, a little tongue in cheek, in jest, that the President's Cup had gone to a mixed event, and you were combining the best American male and female and world. And if you read through some of he can be a pretty comedic at times, but there's something in there, I think. And I didn't get to read it today, but I think there was another journalist that had some ideas to come up. So how do you infuse and make this President's Cup meaningful and make it mean like you want to tune in, like the Ryder Cup? Because right now I've lost interest, to be honest. To use a phrase from Christian, to be honest, I've lost interest.
yeah,
I got to be honest. I got to be honest.
I gotta be honest.
Like I guess call me like a bad American, but I thought we looked like shit. If I'm being honest with you, from the times that I saw it, like yeah, we won,
But lie
but
to
like
us. Lie to us.
I'm not kidding. Like I thought we looked. The first day we looked dominant. I was like, okay, it's 5-0. This is going to be a blowaway. They're not even going to get a point. But then the second day, I'm sitting, ironically enough, in Hilton Head, and I'm watching this on television, and I'm like, we look terrible. Like a lot of the guys they just didn't have the normal A game stuff. Scotty, Xander, right? So I'm worried about the Ryder Cup coming up, just because if that same team is going up against Europe, I don't know if this team will win, right?
I
Because
think that's the whole thing though, Christian, right? I think you bring up a great point. It's tough to get them invested in the President's Cup.
I get that, and you saw
Yeah.
points during the President's Cup, like Scotty yelling in the crowd, like after he made a big putt, for example. Like I think they tried to make it a Ryder Cup or a mini Ryder Cup for that matter, but the President's Cup will never even come close to the Ryder Cup, in my opinion.
It will not come close until the internationals start to win.
Which who knows when that's going to actually happen? Because like I don't know, like I'm curious what team is assembled for Bethpage.
Well, let me throw this one at you. Does the internationals have a better chance if Cam Smith's on that roster?
Sure.
Absolutely.
Agreed.
Absolutely.
Do they have a better chance if name me another Aussie or somebody else?
Oh, like a Louis Oosthuizen, right?
Louis Oosthuizen or
Pat Perez, if he could have made.
freaking close.
No, but
You just missed by a hair.
but yeah, but on that note, Alan, I think if you think about Australia and Korea and Japan and Thailand and South Africa, there's a lot of fertile golf ground there
Absolutely.
for the internationals to sometime somehow field a dominant team, but it just hasn't happened.
The fact that they haven't come up with a dominant team is a travesty in some respects.
Yeah.
I mean, you Joaquin Neiman, throw Neiman.
Yep.
Cam. Think about the team that you could put together if they would have just get out of the way and actually, I do believe, I know the whole live thing, and we may touch on that with Andy's live report later, but if they just let the best players play.
We should touch on it right now.
I'm over it.
I'm gonna be pissed off if Brooks or Bryson are not on the Ryder Cup team. Mark my word. Keegan needs to have both of them on the team.
If they deserve to be on the team.
I think personally Bryson has every right to be on that team.
I think Bryson's going to qualify on points alone.
Yeah. I think Bryson's a given. If you put him, Xander, Scotty at 1, 2, and 3, however you want to rank them, and then you can do the rest of your team from there, obviously with points or outside of points, I think Brooks needs to be a captain's pick. You want to talk about the best players in the world? Nobody is better at a top major event recently in the last 5 years than Brooks winning majors. He's won 5 majors in the last, 5, 6 years?
Yep.
And he always shows up to big events.
I mean,
there's nothing bigger than a Ryder Cup.
I was gonna throw this one out here. So just Ben On apologizes for taking to social media about Wyndham Clark, et cetera, et cetera. You know, and I actually missed exactly what he said, but I mean, if I could replace Ben On, no disrespect to Ben On because he could kick my ass, but I mean, if I could replace him with Cam Smith, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
I mean, Minwoo Lee, who didn't even really play much.
You didn't even know it was there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. It's interesting though, like if you think about if the women had a President's Cup, the US would get dusted every year. They'd get crushed.
Yep.
You know, Japan, Korea, Thailand, they would kill the United States.
Crushed.
I guess like I'm almost want to say like I'm tired of some of the picks over the last couple of years because they do it to make it so it's like based off viewership. Like they're going to take JT, who I've been very vocal that he did not deserve to be on that Ryder Cup team, right? And you're going to put him on there because he's Justin Thomas, right? He's a name. People are going to tune in to watch him. But he had the worst year of his career, and he made 2 cuts.
He had a good
Ryder
Cup, though.
He did, but
I agree with you.
Right. Yeah. I don't love the fact that it's the Ryder Cup, in my opinion, has been so political over the years where they are picking players based off of their name and they don't deserve to be on the team. You look at that team last year, Keegan Bradley, I think we all can agree that he deserved to be on that Ryder Cup team last year.
And by the way, thank God he made the winning putt, just going to say. But you can make the same argument the other way. Are you fascinated about, other than Keegan, so we have a little bit of a personal attachment, right? From Mark being on the show, and the fact it's going to be a Bethpage, and we're all going to tune in because we want to see it be rowdy. But can we really say you're getting as juiced about watching the Ryder? I'm speaking for myself. I'm not getting as juiced about watching the Ryder Cup because we're going to lose.
I don't know where you're coming from saying that.
Yeah, I think if we don't win, it's going to be I think it's ours to lose. If I'm being honest, I'm more jacked up this Ryder Cup because I know that Keegan's going to assemble a team that's going to win. Whereas the last few Ryder Cups, we had a team that they didn't work well together.
We went for how many I need historical reference here. We've went for how many Ryder Cups in a row where the Europeans trounced us, other than like 99, or there was a couple little blips in there. And I can say that maybe now we're getting to a point where there's some go back, hey, they set up the course and now we're set up the course and we set up the course and they set up the course and we win it, we lose it, what have you. But I have no confidence that we can win technically. I don't believe we can win.
I have confidence simply off of 3 men. And I think that these 3 men are the top 3 players in the world, and it's Scotty, Xander, and Bryson right now, currently, right? Those 3 can top anybody on the European team at any given point. Nobody played better this season than Scotty did, and I was going to say nobody played better than Xander, but Scotty did. But those 2 were top tier this entire way. You didn't really hear much from Mr. Rory McIlroy this year. You didn't really hear much from Jon Rahm, given that he was on LIV. I think that this is going to be a absolute utter embarrassment if we don't win the Ryder Cup. That's my prediction.
Yeah, and look, I feel like, Alan, you touched on this. It's gotten into a home team wins type thing over the last few. So it seems like when the United States is playing in Europe, they have no chance of winning, and when Europe's playing in the US, they have no chance of winning. That's what it seems like lately.
And it's largely due to course setup, right? I mean,
and crowds and momentum.
But it's largely, I mean, the Europeans this past go around, Luke Donald, I mean, not enough can be stressed about the fact the analytics it's funny. Again, I'm down here in Hilton Head, and they're talking about analytics of teaching, analytics of this, analytics of that. The analytics of they can't hit a certain shot. So how do they set the golf course up for them?
Yeah. Yeah.
That goes to a lot of sports over history, though. I remember Baltimore Orioles, they had a great infield and they set the infield firmer, I think it was, or softer. I mean, the Boston Garden with the Bruins, small ice, big guys, football fields, if you're going to run it a lot, it was a slower field than if it was, a lot of receivers. Like, that kind of concept had been out there in sports before, but slower to come into golf other than wide fairways, narrow fairways, rough. But it's getting very, very data driven for sure.
I mean, the next go around, I just pulled it up here. Adair Manor in Ireland.
Yep.
Hazeltine, big golf course. Yet to be determined for 2031, and then Olympic Club.
I think they might be coming back into the Woodford Club, I think I hear.
If the Ryder Cup happened tomorrow, as an example, and you look up both rosters currently, we have Xander, Scotty, Bryson, Colin, Brian Harmon, and Billy Horschel that are given. They're the top 6. After that, you have Wyndham Clark, Cantlay, Russell Henley, Finau, Thigala, Homa, and so forth, right? Then you go look at the European team. You have Højgaard, McIlroy, Matt Wallace, Højgaard. I'm pronouncing their names wrong. Matteo Montecero, John Rahm's 8. I think those 6 can, again, it goes back to what I said. It would be an embarrassment if we lose.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I think, interestingly enough, this President's Cup, Furyk picked the list. He didn't go outside the numbers. He picked all 12 guys based on the way they finished on the list. The problem is there's not enough of a recency bias, in my opinion, on the points. And Brian Harmon, put it this way, last year we were talking about the Ryder Cup, we were talking about what a shame that Lucas Glover didn't go.
Absolutely.
And that Keegan didn't go. But you know what? I mean, if you look at, like, Lucas Glover had a small flash there at the end of last year, but he's now back to doing next to nothing.
You're doing Lucas Glover things.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So it is hard to.
But do you take the guy who's hot at that point in time for a captain's pick? Isn't that the rationale for why
that is the rationale?
It should be, but it depends on what, like Andy said. Like, yeah, I admit that Lucas Glover at the time should have been on the team just because he won 2 tournaments in a 3-month span. He was hot.
I think Lucas should have. I mean, in my rankings, I had Lucas as the 12 guy. I had Keegan at 10 or 11.
Yeah.
Keegan should have been a definite on that roster.
I think we're going to run into it next year too, where you're going to see a name, and I'm going to throw it out there, a Sahith Thigala, who is hovering currently around a 10 to 12 spot currently, right? Or I think it's maybe 8 or whatever he is, but that's going to be a player that I want to keep my eye on because he's, is he deserving to make the team? You're going to have guys like Russell Henley who, it's going to be, I think outside of your top 6, you're going to have a lot of discrepancies over the next 6 guys on the team.
Bobby, you know what I would think? How would they imagine that to be on pin, on target?
That's a great technology thought you have there. So segueing into on-pin international and on-pin based in Australia. So we got this GPS system, but a lot of GPS systems out there, we got Verify, which is unlike anything anybody in the golf industry has. It's basically bag tags that go on the individual golfer that you can track on the golf course. So, Andy Hydorn is on the course versus player A and player B in cart 22, looking up at a screen. So really, really strong technology, unbelievable back end, and something that you're talking about AI, Alan. On-pin has predictive analysis. Nobody in golf knows that term, and I mean that gently but critically. Other industries are working on predictive analysis for consumers and what they're going to do. On-pin has data scientists with that. So how to get you to play with this data. So really, really talking about AI, the on-pin has that based in Australia, mate, down under, but coming into the United States now.
Good day.
Good day, mate.
Andy, my mate, I have a question for you. Give us a
Yeah.
little live update. We haven't had a live update in a long time.
Yeah, well, here's my live update. Nobody cares about live, right? People care about the players, and people care about where John Rahm's at and where, Brooks is at. But like, honestly, it's like if a tree falls in the woods and nobody hears it, did it actually happen? And that's kind of the way and maybe it's me, but it just seems like live events go by without anyone giving them any attention, nobody talking about it, nothing, right? It's high time that live just go away and figure out a solution to this thing.
Christian, you got anything to add to that?
I personally couldn't have said it better myself. Took words out of my mouth. He's Andy is perfect with what he said. Nobody's ever cared about live. Nobody ever will care about live, right? And it's a hobby. That's how I look at it for these players. They're not motivated anymore to play golf. Some golfers are motivated, excuse me, but most of them, no, they're not motivated anymore to play golf.
Don't you feel that maybe a year and a half ago that people cared about it a little? And like now,
I think when it first came out, people cared about it. Yes.
Yeah.
But as of talking to you boys right now, no, because nobody cares about it. You've seen some of the top tier names in golf go completely off the face of the earth, right? You don't hear anything anymore from Phil. You don't hear anything from Dustin Johnson. You don't hear shit anymore from Cam Smith. The only two players that are relevant, maybe three players that are relevant, are Bryson, John Rahm, and Brooks. Just because Bryson and Brooks have won.
See, what I think I take away from the live experiment is there is a segment that loves that rock star kind of feel there are people that do enjoy that blaring music, rock starry, entertainment, got a vibe going. I've heard that from multiple people that actually have gone to a live event. I've never gone to a live event because I have no desire to go to a live event. I do completely agree with Christian that these players have fallen irrelevant. But if I can point to one thing and one thing only that I think that has been beneficial, Bryson makes YouTube videos, and the tour has taken the reins off their players to show their personalities. For God's sakes, let them be people.
Yeah. Bryson's been the only person that has actually thrived from going to live, right? And I'm one that used to hate the kid, right? I never even I didn't care for him. He's come around so far since going to live, and I think that he is now the most likable player in the world, right? But one thing I would love to happen, you want to put a Ryder Cup format up, take the top 12 golfers from live. Where's Andy? Oh, where is he? Is he number 12? And then take the top 12 from
That'd be Andy Ogletree.
Andy Ogletree, yes.
Hashtag. Where's that?
And then take the top 12 golfers from the PGA Tour. It won't even be a competition. It wouldn't even be close. But I think that's what some people want to see, right? I think people are tired of the bullshit going back and forth between PGA, Live, all these meetings that are going on.
I agree with that. What they want to see, to quote our good boy there, our good friend, Mr. BE, they want a little WWE versus WWF.
But they're going to get that with the match. They're going to get that with the match.
Yeah, but the match is just step one, I think. I think they're going to look at the viewership, they're going to look at the revenue that it comes in. And I think it's going to be step one, personally, right? And turning into something better. I'll tune in to watch that. I think it's going to be a great match.
Bobby,
So do you think?
Bobby, that hurt me, by the way.
Yeah, it looked like you might be down day to day. He's on the disabled list, the podcast disabled list. Well, coming up this week, we got Rory J. Monahan in. I want to say his name like in Boston, Yassa.
Yassa.
Yeah. Yassa. They're going to play together in downhill links. So if you go by the old adage, you do business on the golf course, activity come out of them playing together. I don't know. Could be interesting.
Should be very
Maybe
interesting.
not.
When is that match again? When is that again?
It's like one of the pro-am for the Dunhill Links coming up this week at St. Andrews.
Yeah, but the match is like in November or December, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
isn't
match,
it?
the
It's in
Capital
isn't it
One.
in Vegas?
Maybe we're talking something different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Andy?
match is in. Okay.
Andy,
Yes, sir.
back nine reference to your hat. Final hole, 18th green. What you got?
So I will say it here first. I just saw the future of women's golf on television. Actually early this morning. Helen Bream, young girl from Germany, sorry, played in her first Ladies European Tour event and won it, and has 111-mile-an-hour club speed. She's 6 feet tall. She's got a great golf swing. She's literally going to take the world of ladies golf by storm. So remember that name, Helen Bream. You heard it here. And just
Mark this day.
Say that again.
Mark this day. Got it.
Mark this day. Two little shout outs. One to Asheville, North Carolina, and a lot of other towns that got decimated by the hurricane. You know, I think we had a hurricane come through here where people lost power for 7+ days a couple months ago. And it's one of those things that you hear it on the news, it's one thing. When it hits you personally, it's a whole other ball of wax. And there's a lot of people suffering right now from a massive storm that hit the US last week. So shout out to them. And one final shout out to our compatriot, Brendan Elliott. We're thinking about you. Wish you were here with us, Brendan.
Cheers on that one. Christian.
I'm going to caveat of what Andy just said. You know, when you look at the world that we are in today currently, and you see that some people you just never know what people are going through. I've had some friends in my life that have been going through a couple tough moments in life, and you just always check in on the people that you care about. If you don't talk to them for a week, 2 weeks, a month, whatever the case may be, always check in on your loved ones to make sure that they're doing fine and doing well, and just make sure that people know that you're there for them at the end of the day. So I'm going to leave my final thought short and sweet.
Bobby.
Yeah, Andy, you took the reins on that one. I was going to mention about a lot of friends I have, obviously in the PGA, in the Carolina section, Georgia section, Florida sections. One of our good friends, Matt Williams, he had 2 huge pine trees land on his house. Thank God his wife and 3 girls were not in the house. But when that stuff happens, you see it, and it's real personal. People, it's not just, somebody that's a stranger in the news. Not that that's doesn't hit you and get emotional, but that storm was unbelievable. I mean, just like coming out, I moved to Kentucky to get away from the storms, yet we got 5 inches and 82-mile-an-hour winds up here or something. It was crazy. It's amazing how powerful those storms are, hundreds of miles inland, never mind when you're right by the coast. So a lot of fundraising efforts are going on, which are needed for general public, certainly people in the golf industry, and hearts and thoughts and prayers go out to everybody. It was, it was like, I think the governor of Georgia said it was like a 250-mile wide tornado. The path was so destructive, crazy.
And I'll just keep echoing it. As I think at this point, there's over 600 people still missing. People just not been able to make contact with them. And Bobby, as you mentioned, I know that there is, and you know what, we're going to try to find a couple of them, post them out on our respective social media pages. But there are GoFundMe out there for golf course superintendents that are out there. They've lost everything. Golf pros that are out there. All you can do is pray for these people. I was going to have, till we went down that road, I was also going to mention just some thoughts on a whole different front. And we'll try to spin it back to a positive. A friend of the show, for example, Kevin Roy is in French Lick trying to earn back his tour card this weekend. So shout out to Kevin. We're hoping that that comes through, as well as Harry Higgs is on that bubble. So, thoughts and prayers for everybody in the Carolinas, Tennessee, Georgia. Until next week, we bid you adieu.